president said is true. The United States of America is running Venezuela. By definition, that's true. Jake, we live in a world in which you can talk all you want about international niceties and everything else, but we live in a world, in the real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power. By definition, we are in charge because we have the United States military stationed outside the country. We set the terms and conditions. We have a complete embargo on all of their oil and their ability to do commerce. So for them to do commerce.
Hey, Shalom, brother. Shalom. This is Brother Howard of GMS Toronto, coming back with another one. And the devil is starting to expose himself, and he doesn't even know it. Right? In this little clip that I just showed, which I'll play the rest of it soon. But in this little clip that I just played, he just proved to you that there's more than one world. Right? There's a world where it's an illusion, right? That they sell to you, right? The one that you believe in, even though it's make believe, right? It's a fantasy. And then there's the real world, right? Which he's telling you power, force, right? Gangsterism, okay? Racketeering, right? These are the people that monopolize countries, right? Like McDonald's. McDonald's is a monopoly. These banks, these phone companies, right? These are all monopolies. Walmart, right? These big corporations, they have monopolized the world. And to do that, you have to be a mobster, right? Crime lords do this. And that's exactly what these international banking cartels are. They're mobsters, right? And America is just simply their military force. Right? America is not a country. America is a corporation, right? And through the way of that corporation, which is their city state over there in Washington D.C., right? The military hub of the world, right? And that hub is for who? For the international bankers, right? When the international bankers they need countries to pay debts, that's when they send in the cavalry by the way of the United States, which the president of the United States is a representation of what? Of the commander in chief, right? That's all that he is. He is the commander in chief of what? Of the military, right? Of the military. So that's why they always send the Americans, right? And they have gotten comfortable with that role of being what? The world police.
They need our permission. For them to be able to run an economy, they need our permission.
Damn. See, the dragon is speaking now, right? This is the reality of life. You people thought these motherfuckers, right, calling themselves white, were good, righteous, benevolent, right? You thought they were, what's the word? Innocent. There's nothing innocent about these people. They have blood on their hands. Now, this is John chapter 10, verse 10, and it reads, "The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy." Now, this thief, right, which was headed by Donald Trump and the U.S. Army, they were doing the stealing on behalf of the international bankers. Why? Because Venezuela was in debt, right? They were in debt. They have been in what the elites call, or the bankers call, a technical default on their international bonds. And this has been since 2016, 2017, right? Where they miss payments, right, on their oil bonds, okay? And it's an estimate of about 150 to 170 billion dollars, right? So the international bankers, they're going to get paid in one way or another, right? This debt that they have used as a weapon is what's destroying nations and destroying people. That's creating homelessness, creating immigration issues. Okay, it's also creating a desperateness to where people are organ harvesting, child trafficking, and all types of other exploitations. That's how this world has been rigged, right? This is the way that the elites like this world. They like this world filthy and nasty. They love the violence. It's how they live day by day. Now, this is Psalms chapter 36 and 1. I think the point is in 4, and it says, "To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, the transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes." Exactly, right? These people are what? Godless, right? The gods that they believe in are what? Are idols, right? Or pagan, right? That's why they practice certain rituals. Verse 2 says, "For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful." And that's what's happening right now. These Edomites are being exposed for truly who they are, right? The scum of the earth, right? Really and truly, the cancer of the earth. Verse 3, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit, right? So iniquity and deceit. Let's get that word iniquity. Now, this is the word
iniquity,
and it means immoral or grossly unfair behavior. Simple and fucking plain. Can't get no more better than that because this game is rigged, right? So it's unfair. Everything about this game is unfair, right? It's immoral. It's grossly unfair. It's not just unfair behavior. They said grossly. They said grossly unfair behavior. That's how this devil operates, though. All right, let's listen to the pride.
In charge. The United States is running the country during this transition period. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in.
No, that's the banker's interest. That has nothing to do with the American people. Right? When you're saying our interests, he knows who he's talking about, but I'm just clarifying. He knows who he's talking about. But the majority of Americans that watch shows like this think that this guy is actually talking about them. No, this guy reports up. He doesn't report down. Right? Let's go back to what he said. Let's see what they report to the regular people.
What the president said is true. The United States of America is running Venezuela. By definition, that's true. Jake, we live in a world in which you can talk all you want about international niceties and everything else, but
see, that's the world that you regular people, that's the world you live in. You live in a world where you're talking about international niceties like the propaganda that they push on the world. Oh, we're all coming together. Kumbaya, my lord. You people think you're going to hold hands and skate into the kingdom of heaven along with the Caucasian, East Indians, the LGBTQ community. This is the heaven that you people want. That's how sick you people are.
in a world, in the real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force.
Simple and plain. He's letting you know what the real world is. Right? This is the real world. But you people don't want to see it. That's why when we talk about the Caucasian, we talk about the Edomites, you people get offended because you're not living in a real world. You're living in the fantasy world. You can't see the reality. You cannot see the truth because the men that are doing this are what? They're in suits. Now, this is the movie The Lord of War. And the reason why I like this movie is because he looked like just a simple person. But that's how these Edomites portray themselves, right? Let's go up to the description. Lord of War, right? It was released in 2005. Primary roles. The plot follows an unscrupulous, right? Brother should know that word, but we'll get it. This is the word.
Unscrupulous.
Having or showing no moral principles. You see how those morals keep coming up? Right? Not honest or fair. Same thing. See, these words connect. Unscrupulous. Okay? Unprincipled, unethical. Right? That's who's this describing? Let's go back. It's describing the Caucasian. It's describing the Edomite. Right? They are what? They are unscrupulous. Right? Follows a Ukrainian American. Isn't that funny? That's actually real funny, but we won't even go into that. Right? Man named Yuri Orlov, played by Nicolas Cage, participates in the global arms trafficking industry in the years preceding and succeeding the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Okay? Because that was an inside job as well. The film opens up with arms dealer Yuri Orlov delivering a direct-to-camera monologue against a backdrop of spent bullets casing. There are over 550 million firearms in worldwide circulation. That's one firearm for every 12 people on the planet. The only question is, how do we arm the other 11? And you can't tell me that this man's blessing is not the sword. 550 million firearms in circulation, and that was back then. That was back then. Okay? Let's go to the plot. Yeah, the plot. It says in the early 1980s, Ukrainian American restaurateur. What's that? Hold on. I don't know what that. Restaurateur. Yeah, I never heard of it. A person who owns and manages a restaurant. Okay. I thought it sounded like a restaurant, but I didn't know. I have to make sure. It says Yuri Orlov witnesses a gunfight amongst the Russian mafia in his area of Brighton Beach. The incident inspires him to begin trafficking arms for personal profit through a contact at his father's synagogue. You can't make this shit up, bro. You cannot make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up at all. Right? Their synagogue is supposed to represent what? Now, this is from Google AI Overview, and it reads a Jewish synagogue represents a central hub for Jewish life, serving as a house of prayer, assembly, and study, focusing on community, Torah study, and connecting with God, especially after the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. It symbolizes continuity of Jewish tradition, housing the Torah in an ark and featuring a platform for readings, fostering communal worship and learning. Okay, cool. That's what it is. Now let's go back. Hold on. Now back to the plot. It says that the incident inspires him to begin trafficking arms for a personal profit through a contact at his father's synagogue. He acquires an Uzi, right? And brother should know who makes the Uzi, and makes his first sale, eventually convincing his reluctant younger brother, Vitaly, to become his partner in crime. Okay? This is the wickedness that these people practice. And if you can't put two and two together, that's on you. I'm not going to say who the wicked are, okay? And what they're practicing and where they're practicing, okay? Man said he went to a synagogue and made a friggin' arms deal and bought Uzis from a fucking synagogue. God damn. Damn. That's how they live. Legitly, this is how they live. These are the Lord of War. This is a Lord of War as well. right? This is the Lord of War, going back to what? Going back to Cain, okay? And also going back to who? Esau.
By power. By definition, we are in charge.
You are in charge, right? The Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? You are in charge, and you're in charge because of what? Because of the blessing of Isaac. Isaac blessed you, Edomites, right? Through your forefather Esau. Esau was blessed with what? With the fatness of the earth. But how? Let's get it. Now, this is Genesis chapter 27, verse 38, and it reads, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept, right? Like the little bitch that he is. Verse 39, even though he sold his birthright, even though it was never meant for him anyway, because he's not spiritual, he's a carnal man. Verse 39 says, And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, right? Which is what? Rulership, right? You Edomites are in rulership. You're in power. But it was meant to go this way. And of the dew of heaven from above, right? Verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live, right? So that's the point. The power is in the what? The sword. The modern day sword is what? The gun.
Because we have the United States military stationed outside the country. We set the terms and conditions. We have a complete embargo on all of their oil and their ability.
No, the elites set the agenda, right? There's no terms, there's agendas. There's certain things that have to be fulfilled on certain timelines, certain dates, okay? Certain rituals, and the elites are running the show, right? They're going to complete this great work, right, with that capstone, right? Once they put that capstone on the pyramid, then that great work should be completed. The great work where you people have now entered into oasis or entered into Shangri-La, right? A state of ecstasy, right? A state of PDF files where it's going to be accepted, and witchcraft is going to be the way of the world. It will no longer be hidden, right? That's why they're coming out of what? The shadows, right? That's why I get into what? The occult, right? But none of this is hidden anymore, because the occult just means hidden. These people are actually showing their true colors, so to speak, right? As to who they are, right? These are the wicked that the Bible speak of.
Do commerce. So for them to do commerce, they need our permission. For them to be able to run an economy,
right? Exactly. 100%. And he's right. Right? Let's get it. We got to go. We always got to touch on it. Now, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 17, and it reads, And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? Which is going into what? The system, that beast system, right? Nobody can operate in this world without the permission of the beast, right? The beast tells you what you eat, what you wear. The beast tells you what to think, right? That's why the most radical thing that you can do in this world is what? Is think. Is to actually have a thought, right? Because the majority of the world are operating under what? Under Plurbius. If you've ever watched that TV show, I know the majority of people find it boring, which it is. It's one of the most boring shows ever created in human history, right? The only reason why I watched it was because of the guy that created Breaking Bad and You Better Call Saul, which were two great shows. But this Plurbius one, I like the concept, but the show itself is trash, right? But the majority of the people in the world are like the people in Plurbius. They don't think. They just go along to get along. When in Rome, do as the Romans, right? That's this world. These people are androids, Okay, their brains are on autopilot. So when they hear somebody with another way of thinking, they panic and they attack, like the TV show Plurbius. Okay? All you people, the way the elites want you, they want you like the people in Plurbius. That's exactly how they want you.
Able to run an economy, they need our permission. So the United States is in charge. The United States is running. So
No, the elites are. The United States are just one part of the corporation, the global corporation. Right? A part of the global corporation, you also have the Vatican. That's the spiritual epicenter of the world. Right? You also have Inner London. That's the financial center of the world. Those are 3 city states. That's how this beast system is ran. It's ran by money, right, which is fiat currency, right? Globalization, right? What's the next word? Not globalization. Globalization is one word, but free trade. I think it's free trade. Capitalism, right? This world is ran off of capitalism. Okay, and that's what gives the corporations the freedom to move around the world and to monopolize the world through their different companies, right? That's what they have done. That's how the international bankers have taken over the globe, the world. And then they steal your natural resources, which is your real money, and they exchange it, or you exchange it for what? For their paper money, which is worthless. Damn.
the country during this transition period. The United States is using its military to secure.
Yeah, the transition period that he's talking about is what? The NWO, right? You can't even say that word on YouTube anymore. As soon as you say the new, you know what, they say, oh, this is a conspiracy theory. So I guess this is their new word. We're going through a transition. We know we're going through a transition. We could feel it. We could feel it, right? If you people don't feel the walls closing in, then you actually don't know what time you're living in. And that's fine because the majority of you people are like the people that were on Plurbius. You're androids. You do not think. You cannot comprehend. Okay? You only comprehend to the point where you just need a cell phone. And it has to be the iPhone, it has to be the Samsung. You need your TV shows. You need your fast food restaurants. This is the level of the average person in the world, right? You need your dating sites so you can go and scroll on TikTok, then scroll on whatever the fucking new dating sites are called, and like a bunch of people's that routine of nothingness. Nothing. You people add no value to the world because you haven't thought for yourself. And you can't think for yourself because you're under the what? The hypnosis or the spell of this great whore, right? This great whore Babylon. Right? But you people will actually see the veil get pulled back very soon. And it's going to be very traumatic to the majority of the world. It is going to be very traumatic because the majority of the world, they believed in Esau, the so-called white man. They believed in him. They believed in his plans. They actually believed that this world ran by him was the kingdom of heaven. A lot of people think that, right? Rappers, actresses, right? The majority of you jakes, especially you jakes that are doing well, or the majority of you jakes that live an alternative lifestyle, this white man created a world for you people to live out your wildest fantasies, your degenerate dreams, right? So why would you not want that man running the world, right? He's made the world perfect for degenerates. This is a degenerate society. Now, this is Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, and it reads, When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the reason why I'm bringing out this scripture is because people have been so conditioned to mourning, right? So conditioned to bad news or draconian measures or loss or this or that, that this has been normalized, right? You people don't even know what rejoicing is. Your rejoicing is whatever the elites tell you to rejoice about. They tell you when to rejoice. You people rejoice for Christmas. You rejoice for Halloween. You rejoice for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, which is Thanksgiving, right? You rejoice for whatever victories that this man tells you to rejoice for. That's what I mean. This world doesn't have a mind of its own. Everyone's on autopilot. You people rejoice that it's Friday, right? Which is a pagan name. Even me saying that name is wickedness. Okay? You people celebrate when this man tells you to celebrate. You mourn when this man is mourning. Right? If something negative happens on the news to one of his, it'll be like, oh my gosh, so and so just died. Oh my gosh, we need to pray. We need to pray for these people. Pray for who? Your enemies? Why the fuck would you pray for your enemy? He was praying for your downfall.
Is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct...
No, you're a failing superpower. You are no longer a superpower, actually. And you never were, right? Your superpower status was due to biblical prophecy, right? The Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, right? You're never a superpower. You're actually one of the weakest people on the planet Earth, right? You are deficient in many different ways, right? You're deficient in melanin, right? Just look at your skin, look at your eyes, look at your hair. You're deficient, right? You are a cancer. You are a recessive gene, okay? You are a recessive gene. You were dominating the world because it was ordained for you to dominate the world during this time. But the scripture says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, to let you know that you Edomites, you represent decay. And the Israelites, right? When it says Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, that represents what? That represents the rejuvenating, right? The healing. That's where the healing is. Scripture says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, right? Forsake her, right? Because this place is going to be burned. And that's the best thing that can actually happen to this bitch, right? The best thing that can happen with an adulterous whore, right? Like America, is to be burnt with fire. That's righteousness.
Ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset.
Yeah, but the bankers and the elites, they sell arms to both sides. The Rothschilds, they bank on both sides. When anybody goes to war, they bank both sides. So they always win. Even the loser still has to pay, because the loser still borrowed what? Still borrowed their fiat currency, that weapon. And then when you lose, the only thing that the international bankers are going to do is go in your country and take your resources. And then the winner still has to pay the international bankers because they took a loan. They also took a loan of what? Of the drug, of the fiat currency drug that the world is high on. Everyone is high on this fiat currency, but it's not real. But we are addicted to it. It's an addiction. It's what we dream about day to day, right? That's the reason why we play the lottery. That's the reason why, right? We go to work, because you people are actually not going to work for a life. You're not going to work for a family. You're not going to work for your children. No, you're going to work for these corporations. You are a slave. You are a debt slave. You have to go to work. You have to go to work to pay these bills. Pay these bills to who? To your owners. And I know that we have normalized this, but it is not normal. Work is something you work towards. Now, this is the word work from Edom Online, Middle English, from Old French. A deed, something done, action, whether voluntary or required, proceeding, business, also that which is made or manufactured, products of labor, also physical labor, toil, skilled, trade, craft or occupation, opportunity of expending labor in some useful or re, remunerative way, right? Also military fortification. This is reconstructed to be from proto, right? So to do, right? That's what it means to do, right? Like when I work out, right? When I work out, there's a goal, right? When we work, right, at these jobs, there's supposed to be a goal, right? The goal is supposed to be what? Financial freedom. The goal is never supposed to work for the next 50 years, the next 25 years. No, that's something that the elites of this world have normalized. That is not normal. When you work, you're supposed to work for a set amount of years. And then after those set amount of years, you're supposed to be set. Set to do what? Start your own business, start your family, build a home. There needs to be a result. The result of us working in this world is strictly to do what? Pay rent, buy food, rent apartments, and all these different subscriptions that we have to where you people actually feel like you're doing something. None of you people in this world are doing shit. The only people in this world that are actually living are the elites. I don't care if you have 100 million, 200 million, that's still not enough. The only thing that you're doing is paying off debts. That's it. You as a person, you could never escape the debt, because look at a country like Venezuela. Could they escape it? They're a whole fucking country with oil reserves. What the fuck do you have as a reserve? Do you have oil reserves? Do you have minerals? Yo, this world is so fucking sick and demented, man. But now I'm going to end the lesson off there. And with that, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakudash. I like to say double honors unto the elders and elder apostles of GMS that rule well and that teach well, and to the brothers on the four corners of the earth doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Only the 144,000, the 1/3 and the 144,000. Shalom to you and to you alone.